LaxFactor podcast. Dope things that happened in 2019 in the college lacrosse world. The first dope thing, Utah and St. Bonnie's. We have two new programs start the season here, and that actually opened the 2019 season, Vermont at Utah. And Vermont traveled out west, and they got a W over Utah. But then Utah, just 8 days later, they end up getting their first win over Mercer at home by a score of 13-19. Then Utah goes on a three-game, they lose two, and then they end up going on a three-game winning streak, getting wins over Air Force, who ended the season 10-5. They get a win over Furman and Bellarmine, and they finish the season with a win over Detroit Mercy, setting the bar high for first-year programs by finishing the season 5-10. And they played a tough schedule, too, because they ended up playing Duke, Denver, UMass, who had a really good season last year, and UVA. So that was pretty awesome. It's always good, and we're going to have some new teams join Division I this upcoming season as well. So that's always a good thing to see, is just see the sport grow at that level, but more importantly, to see what these new teams can do, especially out west like that. They had an impressive season for a first-year team, and I don't remember anyone being this excited. You know, we had Cleveland State pop up. We have Detroit Mercy pop up. You get High Points and things like that. I don't remember there being more hype for a new team popping up than what Utah had going for them. That may be tied to the coaching staff and everything, but either way, Utah, they had a great season, first-year program. That was awesome. High Point, they upset both Duke and Virginia in 2019 en route to a 13-3 record, and they still didn't make the tournament, which was crazy because they get those two huge quality wins, but then they end up losing to Jacksonville, I think on the road. They lost to Richmond, I believe twice, once during the regular season and once in their conference finals. So really they were a have to win your conference tournament to get in type team. They didn't do that. They lose to Richmond. But what it really did, and I think this was one of the earlier things with the shot clock that we saw, was it kind of made stalling games out impossible. The Blue Bloods couldn't kind of control games, control possessions the way they used to be able to. So you really even up the number of possessions that each team gets over the course of the game. And we saw early on a lot of upsets. Syracuse lost to Colgate at the Dome because normally where a team like Colgate would start to try to kind of stall the game out, and that wouldn't usually work for them. They would lose momentum, lose offensive flow, and that would allow the Blue Bloods to come back. The shot clock rules force these teams to just keep their foot on the pedal, and I believe that played a role in some of these early season upsets. So we saw early season upsets, more specifically High Point beating Duke and Virginia, and it put kind of the Blue Bloods on notice. Nobody is safe. Even Blue Bloods at home aren't safe, with Syracuse losing in the Dome, and I believe High Point beat both Duke and Virginia on the road. We saw the introduction of the shot clock, and that couldn't have gone better. I was skeptical. A lot of people were skeptical, but the reality ended up being it was nothing but good. It was good for the sport. It was good for players. It was good for officials to make it easier. It was good for coaches because you can coach in a very defined way, and it kind of kept things simple in that way. But more importantly, it was good for fans. It did speed up the pace of play. I think that it did contribute to having some upsets and contributing to some of those upsets that happened early. So we see the shot clock come into play, and it was awesome. We also saw the introduction of the dive, and that couldn't have gone worse. I liked it, and I thought it was okay, and I didn't mind the way that the officials called it myself, but other people have lost their minds, and they have not been fans. Beer break. Cheers to 2019, by the way. So we see the dive, and that didn't go well, and they're going to change some of those rules coming in here in 2020. But I'm still glad the dive's back, and I hope that the dive stays long-term, even if they have to tweak the rules over time. We saw the introduction, we saw Penn State's Grant Ament and Mac O'Keefe. Both of them put the world on notice en route to them just trashing record books, trashing conference record books. Ament puts up 30 goals, 95 assists, and 125 points to O'Keefe's 78 goals, 18 helpers, and 96 points. So these dudes at Penn State completely wrecked it. Let's not get into the fact that I didn't pick Penn State for anything. I didn't talk about Penn State preseason at all. I did start talking about them right away early as they started beating people up, and O'Keefe and Ament were putting up tons of points. I got Ament's name wrong a bunch of times here, so I didn't get into talking about them nearly as much as I should have, but they end up just wrecking the world, and Penn State ends up doing so right up into their first Memorial Day appearance. Penn State gets their first NCAA tournament I think they got their first conference tournament win, possibly. They definitely got their first NCAA tournament win. They definitely made their first Final Four, obviously. So Penn State came out and tore people up. Loyola, another kind of mid-major, another team that's kind of right on the cusp of being considered a blue blood, but not quite, but they're always in the hunt. They come out tearing it up. They came out and beat UVA at home and then went on the road and thrashed Hopkins at Homewood. And Pat Spencer, more specifically, thrashed everybody. Spencer comes out doing his "Are We Not Entertained" celebration in that Hopkins game. So Spencer comes out with Loyola and proves that they're a contender, and they ended up contending. They make the quarterfinals before losing in the tournament. Spencer, he comes out and played the entire 2019 season like a damn caged animal, and he puts up 114 points on 49 goals, 65 helpers, but the way he did it was incredible. He beat people up. He bullied people. To me, he proved, and obviously to the Tewaaraton voters, he proved that he was unequivocally the best player in the country, despite all the crap that Ament did throughout the season. So that was huge, but it was one of the most dominant offensive performances and kind of team leader based performances that I've ever seen, because teams did everything they could to try to stop him. They just couldn't. TD Erlin, he has another crazy ass season, going 75.8% at the faceoff X for Yale in 2019. He takes 495 faceoffs and won 375 of them over 18 games. I think we get into kind of just capping it all off. And, one of the predictions I had was that UVA was going to make the Final Four and, be in contention for a title. And they end up winning the whole damn thing. And it was good for the sport of lacrosse, partly because it's good, at least all of us fans of Blue Bloods, even though I'm a Syracuse fan at heart and I was raised to hate Virginia and Hopkins and anyone that, Syracuse didn't have a conference back in my day. Back when I was in my probably late 20s, they joined the Big East for a while before, and probably early 30s actually, and before the ACC was formed and them hopping in there. But seeing Virginia win the title, win it the way they did, to progress and to get beat up on the road against Loyola early in the season, and their defense did not look good at all. But you knew they were going to be able to be formidable offensively. To see them go from that to improving to the point that by the finals, they beat Yale at their own game. They beat Yale by being the bullies on defense, by out-hustling them in every way, shape, and form. So that was huge, seeing Virginia, start the season the way they did, play some tough lacrosse throughout, and they kind of took over. Syracuse had gotten the moniker Cardiac Cuse over the course of the last few years, especially because they've been owning Duke. But to see Virginia kind of take that over, I mean, you look at the win that they had in the semis over Maryland, and then just coming out and just roaching Yale, beating Yale at their own game, being bullies, beating them up, beating them to ground balls, and then just outscoring them, despite the fact that Yale dominated the faceoffs. So to see Virginia, one of the Blue Bloods, get back to it, win the championship, that was exciting. To see the season that Ryan Conrad had for Virginia. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. I'm drinking beer and I'm watching the Giants in the other room here as I'm sitting down to do this podcast. So to see Ryan Conrad have the season, to bounce back after that season-ending injury against Syracuse that he suffered last year, to see him bounce back and to come out and just to tear it up like he did. He was my pick for midfielder of the year, because he truly dominated in all areas of the field. He played on the defensive side, between the boxes, ground ball master, hustle master, put up points where they needed them. So it was fun to see Ryan Conrad, even though, once again, I hate Virginia here, but I like them up here. Or maybe I hate them up here, but I like them here. I don't know. It can go either way. But to see him have the season he had, that was pretty awesome also. So 2019 for college lacrosse was crazy. And then you go beyond that. We have the PLL, we have the MLL. So we got all that excitement between that. We get the PLL finals. I think PLL won the war overall in terms of the pro. At least they won the attention war for sure. I'm not sure what happened with the gate wars, but in terms of attention war, PLL definitely won. So I think that in the end, moving forward, the PLL is probably going to be the way to go. But to see that league start, to see the success it had in 2019, that was awesome. And Then now we got an NLL season that we're going to start. So 2020, it's going to be exciting. We're going to, like I said, we're going to cover college all starting as soon as right in January. We'll start doing more preview stuff and talking more about college again. We're going to start covering the NLL right here at the beginning of 2020. They're, I think, at week 4 or 5 or something like that now. So we'll follow them through the rest of their season as well. And some things, kind of third segment level stuff here, but I'm going to kind of throw this at the end of this video here. 2019 in terms of just our channel and how we did, and it was crazy. It was crazy. In 2019, we hit 2.2 million views overall. So our videos over the course of 2019 alone did 2.2 million views. So that was awesome. You guys watched 195,000 minutes of our videos. That was crazy. Even better, we gained 6,300 subscribers. I think right now we're sitting at 7,900 subscribers. We gained 6,300 of you guys over the course of 2019, which is bonkers. We had like 1,000 plus to start 2019, and we end up with 78 right now. 6,300 gained over the course of 2019, with a couple of days to go here. So I can't thank you enough, all you, for that. And that's it for this episode. That's it for 2019. Let's get this video over 100 likes. So if you're watching, smash the like button and share this video to get the word out about the podcast, about the show, about this upcoming season, college lacrosse season specifically, that we're going to cover as 2020 gets rolling. We're going to start covering the NLL as well. So make sure that you hit the like button if you're watching this. Make sure that you share this video, and just know we're about to cover hard the NLL and the college lacrosse season for 2020 as soon as the calendar flips. If you want to support us beyond that, you can go to LaxFactor.com, get yourself some swag, t-shirts, hats, mugs, all sorts of other stuff. Also, if you comment down below, you will get entered to win over the course of all these videos for this episode. We'll put this episode out in over 2 YouTube videos. Comment down below, and you'll be entered to win a pair of these Rampage lacrosse shorts. Peacock pattern. They're pretty crazy. These are big. So I think these here are XLs, and they're really almost size like double XLs, but you get those if you comment down below anything that's thoughtful. And then also, if you go to Sergio Salcido 48.com, buy your kid, or if you are a kid, hit up your parent to have them buy it for you. Buy number 48's Train My Way online training program, where Sergio himself will put your kid through a series of drills he uses to fine-tune his own game, both in season and during the off season. So 2 ways: go to LaxFactor.com, get your swag. You can support us that way, or you can go to Sergio Salcido 48.com and allow number 48 to help motivate and educate you or your kid as a player. If you want to continue and listen to this whole podcast, go to LaxFactor.com. We put the full audio podcast up and attach that to the blog post that we link in the description. So if you want to listen to the rest of this right away, go to LaxFactor.com. You can actually listen to the full audio version.